Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, all of you, for taking the time to come out here this morning. It is a great honor to be here with many familiar faces and many people that over the long narrative of this effort to rebuild Doyle Drive have been principal in that effort and reason we're here. This project, Doyle Drive, which you see to your right, to my left, was built in 1936 and 1937. It was built, obviously, the same time that our fabled Golden Gate Bridge was built. Shortly after it was built, the state took it over in 1945, and a few years later they realized that it wasn't built to modern-day specifications, and I mean modern-day a half century ago. They realized that it did not have the appropriate medians, it did not have safety features that so many of us have come to know and appreciate around the rest of our state and country. As a consequence, the initiative to rebuild Doyle Drive began, again, in 1955. Here we are in 2009, and we are on the precipice of finally fulfilling the commitment and the vision and the desires of a half century ago. It wasn't until about 1996 that the real work began through the San Francisco Transit Authority, through local Board of Supervisors here in San Francisco and other regional partners. We started to put together some specific plans and strategies, working with neighborhood groups from around not only the immediate area but throughout the city and the region. In 2006, we finally agreed on a strategy, a design, and a plan. About 10 years after we initiated the beginning of a process, that process concluded. There were 16 specific ideas about how we can rebuild this structure, and we finally came down to one idea that would complement the Presidio in this extraordinary urban park that is the backdrop of this setting that we stand in today. Finally, through 2006 and 2007, progress was made on how we fund this. $1 billion. It wasn't always $1 billion. Probably started, I don't want to think about what it started out in 1955, but nonetheless, the numbers kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger until we realized in early 2007 that this $1 billion+ project, and I mean billion and a few hundred thousand, now I would say it's about 1.1 billion, maybe 1.1 billion. It really depends on how you want to analyze it. Had a gap of over $400+ million, and candidly, it was a gap north of $700 million. We only had about $300 million in the bank. We were very fortunate then in May of 2007 to work very aggressively in the state of California, and to the credit of the current governor and his administration, and to the extraordinary leadership of Will Kempton and Caltrans, they stepped up to the plate with what we call these shop dollars, something that then Assemblyman Leno intimately was familiar with, now Senator Leno was championing. We were able to draw down some $405 million of shop dollars. This was a gigantic breakthrough, $405 million. So we went from about 3, now we're over 7, but we still had this gap just a year and a half or so ago. Then we had leaders like Jake McGoldrick, then the chair of the San Francisco Transit Authority, saying we need to do more and we need to do better and we need to build our partnerships. And we went out to do more and do better and started building even stronger partnerships with our regional partners, leaders like Steve Heminger at the MTC, who had long been a champion and actually had been front and center in helping us draw down those $400+ million. And Steve said, look, I'm happy to help, but my responsibility is not exclusively your responsibility. I've got to make everybody happy in the region, but I'm happy to reach out to some of those regional partners, and perhaps we can bring everybody in a room. And that's when we initiated some regional discussions about how we can not be working across our interests, but working collaboratively towards our collective goal. And we, in essence, tried to take each other's money, saying to Steve that if they were going to get $100 million, what happens if we give them just $60 million and we'll take 40 for this? We'll give up 10, but they have to give up 20. Though we always felt we were on the shorter end of that stick. We were always giving up the 20, Charles, to your 10. But Charles McClatchy and others who were leaders in this effort we had a spirited dialogue and debate. It wasn't always pretty, but such is the nature of the deliberative process. But nonetheless, progress was being made. It got to a point where real progress was made when the threat of congestion pricing really forced us to collaborate in ways we never thought we could. We all realized that the toll at the bridge needed to go up, and no one wanted to create a second toll booth on Doyle Drive. So once you pay 6, 7, whatever will be in 5 or 6 years, who knows, and then you get off, and then you have to pay a toll to get over Doyle Drive. People were none too pleased by that, at least in the North Bay. And that's when we finally got the attention that ultimately, I think, brought us to where we are this morning. And that's why I am very thankful to all the creativity that all of you, as I look out here, have displayed, the constancy of Spur, our neighborhood leaders, and Jim, thank you for all your long-standing work on this, to all of the stewards of this urban setting that have been here for many, many years, to Jose Luis Moscovitz, again, at our local transit authority, to Bill Dodd. Bill was extraordinary in this process. I was so blessed when Bill came onto the scene and said, look, I'm committed to make this happen and deliver this project, and really stepped up to the plate. To Al Borrow, my old friend Al Borrow, we sat on a water transit authority for years, and Al was a great champion of Marin. I wish he was my mayor, because he looked out for the interests of San Rafael and other parts of the North Bay. Unfortunately, we didn't always necessarily see eye to eye, but we always saw this as an important goal and a collective one, and Al really stepped it up, particularly on behalf, Al, of all your work you did at the Golden Gate Bridge Board. And I want to just conclude by saying thank you to the Bridge Board. We couldn't do this without you. Final point, and then I will introduce the person you all came to see. This structure is arguably one of the top 5 most unsafe structures in the United States of America. It was built in 36, 37. The I-35 structure in Minneapolis that collapsed was built in 67, 30 years later, and had a seismic sufficiency, or a sufficiency rating, I should say, of 50 out of 100 by the Federal Highway Administration. Ours is rated 2. 2, not 50, built 30 years prior. It is safe to say that when you walk underneath this structure, you should be running, and when you're driving, you get dispensation for going 1 or 2 miles, perhaps within the margin of the speed limit, to try to get you in and out, because it is not a safe structure. We all know that, and that's why we are proud to be here now with a record of decision and a project that is shovel-ready, to use the vernacular of our times, that is ready to go, that has now been moved up 1 year, where you'll see staging right behind yourselves in front of me in September, and we'll get this thing underway. But the person that is most responsible, forget everybody I recognize, as important as they were, we could not have done anything without the incredible leadership of our local congressional leader at the time, Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi, and now our very, very, very accomplished Speaker of the House of Representatives, the person that made this all happen, the one that has been leading the charge to making sure we're here today, our Speaker, Nancy Pelosi.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank all of you very much. Oh, what a happy day at long last. The mayor very, I think, cheerfully presented the challenge that we have in anticipation of a solution on the horizon. But because some of the statistics that he named were so depressing, I think I'll not reiterate them. He has set the stage for the need. So many of the people here have been part of the solution. I also want to acknowledge Sophie Maxwell, who was here, Supervisor Sophie Maxwell. Thank you for being here. I want to join the mayor in acknowledging all who got us to where we are today, and join Gavin as well. I had a whole set of remarks that reviewed some of the terrible statistics that the mayor has already revealed to you. He talked about the history going back 70 years. I want to go back even farther than that, to say what this is a part of and what our Recovery Act, the stimulus package, is in the tradition of. Over 200 years ago, in 1808, Thomas Jefferson said we need an infrastructure plan for our new country. He called it the Gallatin Project, who was the Secretary of Treasury at the time. And he wanted to build America into roads and bridges into the Louisiana Purchase, into the following the Lewis and Clark expedition. He knew that for America to grow, for people to be in touch, for commerce to flourish, we had to build infrastructure. And Cumberland Road and Erie Canal, things like that, were part of that initiative. 100 years later, on the centennial of the Gallatin Project, the Jefferson Initiative, Theodore Roosevelt was President of the United States. And in honor of the centennial, he initiated his own infrastructure projects, the gemstone of which was the National Park Service, building the park, the green infrastructure of America. So here we are with these currents coming together, the need for infrastructure, transportation, and all that that does for a country, the respect and value of our natural resources, and our making parks a priority. And here we are 101 years later. We didn't do much in 2008 except get ready. And now we have a president in the tradition and in the spirit of and bipartisan spirit of Hamilton, of Jefferson and Roosevelt, and really in the tradition of President Eisenhower, who in the late 50s, a time of not very good economic times for our country, initiated the interstate highway system, and it was for our national security. It created jobs, it built roads, it connected America. Its purpose to connect America was to protect America, to keep us secure as a country. It was a defense project. Many people don't realize that. Al Gore's father had the initiative. So this has been an important part of the greatness of our country. But it had, all of these initiatives had vision. They were something bigger than building a road. They were about connecting a country. They were something different than deciding on a bridge. They were about securing a nation, and in doing so, to create jobs. Now here we are with one example, one manifestation of the vision of Barack Obama in the recovery package, which is to say, immediately we want to get the funds out to the states and to the regional decision makers, and that's a very important part of how we've done the transportations all along. Regional cooperation. Thank you for your leadership in that regard. And so that as quick as this, California will receive 2.6, or I guess it's 2.57 plus $billion of the highway piece of the stimulus package. That's only a part of it. That would money, I guess, what, 140 or something like that comes to this region at your discretion. But in addition to that, there are grants for which this project can be competitive, and I'm so glad that there's been a decision that this is a priority to compete for those funds. Well, I talked about the vision of the presidents and of our president, what he intended to do. It's to create jobs, it's to build the infrastructure of America in a new green way, with all the advances in science and technology to make this safer, greener, to have people, to improve the quality of their lives by bringing them to and from work in a shorter period of time, in a safer manner. And right here in our own city, we have a visionary in Mayor Newsom, who is, has the vision to match the challenge, and now to use work together with so many regionally to use the funds to make a difference. And again, it's an economic issue, just not only about jobs, but what it means to the individual person who has to go and come from work. Right, Mr. Mayor? They're coming from San Rafael, etc. So what an honor it is for me to be here on behalf of all of my colleagues. We work very closely as a team, our Bay Area delegation, we do, and also with our Senator Feinstein and Senator Boxer, to make sure we get what we have to have here. I must say, I'm a neighbor here. I come down here and walk on Saturdays, even before it was Chrissy Field, take my kids to the Presidio. We've been watching that Doyle Drive for so long, thinking, how on earth can this be allowed to exist? And for years, we've been getting millions of dollars in appropriations for design only. That was, wasn't much more money than to do much of that. But now we have the big opportunity. We've been, because of the work of so many of you here, we are ready for it. And how appropriate that the vision of Jefferson to build the infrastructure of America, realizing what it means to people, the economy of the region, and the vision of Roosevelt to preserve our parks. Here we are sitting in one of them as his infrastructure initiative with under the leadership of President Barack Obama, willing to take the chance to commit historic numbers of dollars passed by the Congress in record time to respond to his call in his State of the Union address when he said, we will rebuild the infrastructure of America in a safe and environmentally sound way. 1 week and 1 day from his speech, the House of Representatives did just that and passed the legislation, which a couple of weeks later he signed into law, and here we are today, a manifestation of the America's Recovery Act, known to some as the stimulus package, and I certainly hope that it is. Thank you all very much for your partner.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gavin, and I'm the new chair of the San Francisco County Transportation Authority. I began my career as a congressional aide and then worked for a transportation agency, and so it's really heartening for me to have a leadership role in transportation. There are two functions that I have this morning. One is to kind of remind us why the Bay Area has such an amazing system of transportation and why projects such as the new Doyle Drive come to fruition. And that's because more than any other region, I think that we have cooperative transportation agencies, elected and appointed officials, amazing staff, and then some of the best firms in the world that want to work here in San Francisco to deliver projects. And so I get for a brief moment to warm the room a bit and make sure that we know one another and appreciate one another and celebrate this day. And I do want to share the Speaker's comments that it is a new day, because for so many years we relied upon the Speaker when she was a member of the House Appropriations Committee to bring both major programs and earmarks to us. And this administration has asked for a new day in which we compete differently. And I think that once again the Bay Area is going to be at the forefront because we have worked together and we have planned projects and we have projects that reflect consensus where the public has been involved and where we have the engineering and the design and the ingenuity. And so it is a wonderful era, a new day, a new time for us in this country, and I think hopefully that what we will see with the stimulus package is hope again, because that's the most important thing that we can have right now. So for a moment I want to acknowledge some of the great partners. We're going to warm the room so you can applaud vociferously if you feel like it. You can shout out, you can stand up and wave to your friends. We're going to have some fun this morning. So first I want to acknowledge the chair of the California Transportation Commission, a major figure, Jim Gilmetti, who helped to deliver this project. His colleague Phil Tagami is here, also a member of the CTC. We will hear in a moment from Will Kempton, and I will give him his due, but I want to acknowledge my good friend who's always in Chronicle Watch, my buddy Bijan Sartipi, who's here. Come on, Bijan, give us a wave here. I understand that Lauren Wonder is here from Caltrans. Where is Lauren? Is Lauren here? Lauren's in the back. Okay, keeping tabs. A name that is very popular in my district. Butch Wadelick is here from the Federal Highway Administration. Where is Butch? In the back, okay? Rohnert Park Council member Jake McKenzie is here, who's had a long environmental career and contributed greatly to us. My long-standing good friend who looks better the longer he stays in his job, Leslie Rogers from the Federal Transportation Administration. All right, Leslie. You can tell they're not real politicians. Nobody's standing and waving in this crowd. We're going to have to jump to Sophie in a minute. Is Celia Cooper-Smith here from my director? She is not here this morning. Steve Heminger is here, though. I know Steve is here. Steve's in the back. Molly Matuli is here. Where is Molly? Molly is in the back. Give us a wave, Molly, okay? Thank you. My director, Jose Luis Moscovich, someone who worked very hard, very long on this project. Give Jose Luis some love. And Lee Saga is here. Lee, who's the project manager. Lee is in the back there. We talk about those world-class engineering firms, and representing as a long-standing member of the city family, Stuart Sunshine is here, representing the PB Arab team who's here. Stuart's in the back. Could I ask for a moment that everyone that's been part of the project team leading up to the environmental document, the engineering, if you could all just stand for a moment and be acknowledged. The people who really have done the work. I see a wave in the back, but could the people who've been involved working on this project for a long time please stand and be acknowledged. My great friend Senator Mark Leno, who's working hard for us, is here. Senator Mark Leno is here. John Goodwin of the MTC. Where is John? John is in the back there, looking dapper. You will hear from Bill Dodd momentarily, longtime friend, former member of the PB family, who is now Deputy Secretary for Transportation and Infrastructure. Jim Borgard is here. Thank you, Jim. I'm going to acknowledge some of my Bridge District colleagues. Lynn Newhouse-Siegel from the Bridge District is here. Lynn. There we go. Charles McGlashan from the Marin County Board of Supervisors, and also he's the chair of the board and also on the Bridge District. I want to acknowledge the past president of the Bridge District Board, John Moylan, is here. You got to get your picture taken with John this morning, okay? I also want to acknowledge that Al Borro, who will be speaking to us, who's the president of the Golden Gate Board Bridge District and also the mayor of San Rafael. And I want to acknowledge that someone who's here who took Speaker Pelosi's words to heart and is here shovel ready, the past chair of the Transportation Authority, Jake McGoldrick, our former colleague on the Board of Supervisors. Show your shovel, Jake. Come on. We all know you're a union member. We want to see that. It's okay. It's not contracting out. I want to acknowledge the new president of the Board of Supervisors, the face that everyone wants to see, David Chu, our new president of the board. Doing a great job. And the speaker gave some love, but once again, our own Sophie Maxwell. I am concerned the speaker may take her Barack Obama purse. It is very impressive, I want to let you know. Okay, in terms of the nonprofit or transportation advocacy support, I want to acknowledge Jim Chappell is here, someone we love and know, and Peter Winkelstein is also here from Spur. Is Steve Kinsey here from the Marin County Board of Supervisors? All right, Steve. Amy Worth is here from the MTC. Thank you, Amy. I know that John Rubin is here, who works long and hard on the MTC. Where is John? There's John back there. Okay. I don't know if Ann Halstead is here. I did not see Ann earlier. Is Ann here? Don't see Ann. Okay. Let's go through the conservancies. We've got some great members of the Golden Gate National Parks Conservancy. Greg Moore. Thank you, Greg. Doug Overman. There's Doug over there. Thank you. Bill Hambrick. Sally Hambrick is here. There you go. All right, Bill and Sally. Thank you. Mark Buell is representing Susie and himself from the Conservancy. Charlene Harvey. Is Charlene here? And Mike McCone. I'm going to ask for a little help. Is there anybody that I have not acknowledged to warm up this room? I do not want to step off this podium and feel I have left somebody out. Am I missing anybody? Oh, all right. We're ready to roll here. So with this, let me please welcome up someone who has had a long-standing career with Caltrans as a leader in Santa Clara County, and someone that we are grateful to have as the governor's appointee as our director at Caltrans, Will Kempton.
Thank you, Bevan. Madam Speaker, Mr. Mayor. And isn't it wonderful that when we use the title Madam Speaker these days, we're referring to somebody from California. On behalf of Governor Schwarzenegger and Secretary of Business, Transportation and Housing, Dale Bonner, it's my pleasure to be here to talk about a project that, as the mayor pointed out, is one which we need to address. And I'm happy to report that probably before the end of the day, the state will be approaching nearly 50% of the funding to accomplish this project. And some of the people that were acknowledged today, and you can recognize the partnership that's involved in putting this together by virtue of the fact that we have federal representatives, our new division administrator for the Federal Highway Administration, who Gavin already acknowledged, Butch Weidlich. We've got our commissioners represented here, people who are very important to getting project work out in California. We've got our Caltrans staff, we've got the local transportation authority, we've got MTC. This has been a collaborative effort to get this job done. The mayor said this is a project that needs to be done from a safety perspective. We would agree. I would just say, Mr. Mayor, that we have shored this bridge up. It is safe to drive on for the time being. It is not safe in a seismic event. It is not safe in a seismic event, and we need to make these repairs, and we're happy to be a part of getting this done. California achieved a rather negative milestone yesterday. Unemployment in California is now over 10%. In the construction industry, it is much higher than that. Our governor tells me all the time it's about jobs, jobs, jobs. I want to let you know that the stimulus package that President Obama signed with the support of the Speaker and her colleagues is something that's going to be very significant to California. We're going to see about $4.6 billion of that package coming to California for transportation infrastructure, and we're going to put this money to work very quickly. Let me just tell you how fast this is going to happen. Fact of the matter is the Federal Highway Administration on Tuesday will be apportioning California's share of dollars. That means the money is available. We have to go through some hoops. There's all the federal reviews. There's the process that has to be observed. But our governor will sign the appropriate certifications by the middle of March. We will start those dollars flowing very quickly. We will have jobs created and projects underway by the summer. This particular project, because of its size, we're going to break it down into multiple parts. But it is my hope, my earnest hope, that we will have a piece of this work underway by this summer that could not be done if we did not have the federal stimulus package coming out of Washington. Madam Speaker, thank you very much.
Thank you, Will. Next up, I would like to invite a leader who just stepped down on Wednesday as the chair of the MTC board here in the Bay Area. Bill Dodd has served on the Napa County Board of Supervisors since 2002 as its chair and has chaired the Metropolitan Transportation Commission ably and been a very important partner. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you very much, Gavin. It's my pleasure to be here today to represent the Commission with Mayor Newsom to thank Speaker Pelosi for the great job that she's done in making the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act a reality. Now, if that wasn't hard enough, 8 days later, the Bay Area came together to put together different projects. In fact, just this last Wednesday, the Metropolitan Transportation Commission voted to allocate nearly $500 million on projects that will maintain transit, that will fix our local roads and streets, that will improve safety on our highways, that will also take care of the BART connector to the Oakland Airport. And all these projects will stimulate our economy because they'll create jobs and they'll help our local businesses because they'll do much better in the economy as well. MTC believes that we're in good position to compete fairly for other stimulus dollars as we move down the line. And we look forward in the next few weeks to work very, very hard to work towards getting more money for this reconstruction of Doyle Drive and for the high-speed rail project, also Parklands purchases, and other regional priorities. You've heard about this, how we got here today. This was really kind of one of the highlights of my chairmanship of Bay Area Toll Authority and MTC over the last couple of years, was working with the region and trying to get this very important project off the track. We had a lot of great people with a lot of different interests in the room, and I think at the end of the day, the mayor's told a lot of the story, but I think what really happened is the dynamics changed a lot when MTC or BATA voted to appropriate $80 million of the 7 state tolls from the 7 state Bay Area bridges. And I think that that was a sign from our commission that this in fact was a regional project and everybody needed to step up to the plate. And I really like to thank, you've heard who all the stakeholders are. I won't take the time to name them again, but I want to thank them all and let them all know what a pleasure it was to work with you to get to where we are today. I'd like to once again thank Speaker Pelosi for her job in strengthening the transportation system of the United States. We look forward to working with her on projects that we've outlined today and other projects, and also the federal reauthorization, which is coming up. And this is a fabulous, fabulous opportunity because our prosperity depends upon a transportation system that'll meet the diverse needs of metropolitan areas. And I'm telling you right now that we can take this as an opportunity to not only improve the transportation in the Bay Area, but across the state of California and across the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. And our last speaker is someone, we have 2 mayors sitting up here, and so many of us have the privilege of knowing Al Boro as a colleague of his on the Golden Gate Bridge District Board of Directors, but he's done something that Mayor Newsom will not be able to do, which is be elected 5 times as mayor of San Rafael. Unbelievable, that tenure. But he is such an honorable, hardworking, diligent person, the greatest colleague you could have. We're privileged to have him here. Al Boro.
Well, thank you, Bevan, and Madam Speaker, Mayor Newsom, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to be here, and as I was sitting here, I was thinking about a couple of things. It's a beautiful day, of course, between rain showers, which we desperately need, but it's the perfect setting of an ideal partnership. You have Doyle Drive and the Golden Gate Bridge District, and they really are partners. One doesn't work without the other. And this became an issue, I believe, that we all began to realize as we went through this process. Unlike Mayor Newsom, I'm happy to say, Mayor, I did not get involved in this in the 90s or the 80s, but only in the fall of '07. And then through '08, when we met with Mayor Newsom, with the leaders from the North Bay, the Board of Supervisors of Brennan and Sonoma County, we came to the conclusion, especially with the urging and the what MTC did by putting money on the table, we came up with $75 million from the Bridge District and $5 million from the 2 North Bay counties. So it's a true partnership between all our entities, and this needed to be done. This structure needs to be made safe. And Speaker, I want to tell you, thank you for the great work you've done helping us with our retrofit. We're starting this year the 3rd and final phase on the retrofit of the Golden Gate Bridge, and believe me, that structure will be here for many, many more years to come. I want to thank all the people that worked on this, my colleagues on the board, and I want to thank especially Mr. Dodd, who I've gotten to know quite well, for convincing me of this. And but we did have some spirited meetings, but in the long run, things have turned out well. I thank you all very much.
Thank you, Al. I think the only thing I want to close with is that I think this represents a new era also because this is a context design. You can talk about functional design in transportation, but you can see that we really have to think about the context with the bridge, with the beautiful Presidio and Golden Gate National Recreation Area, and I think that this is just a great day to celebrate. I'm privileged to work with all of you and to hopefully work more with all of you in the future, and we're honored to be led by our speaker, so let's have some fun and enjoy the rest of the morning. Thank you so much for being here.